עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, אמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, אמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Good afternoon. We're here today to celebrate and honor the life of Iona Harris. These times are always difficult, and they're always hard on those of us left behind. But I hope that through a little bit of time together, a little bit of time remembering, it will help us to feel better about our lives, and it'll help us to remember the life of Iona. There are a lot of ways to honor somebody's memory, and we do a lot of things in terms of honoring people's memories. And if I'm shuffling papers, it's because it's cold and windy and I don't want them to fly away. But I'd like to start with a psalm that I think is standard and appropriate. There is a time for everything. There is a time for everything under the sun. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to laugh and a time to cry. A time to dance and a time to mourn. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to forget and a time to remember. This day we remember Iona, who enriched our lives with love and with beauty, with kindness and compassion, with thoughtfulness and understanding. I believe I would like to move on to the primary prayer in a service for mourning, in a funeral service. It's called El Moleh Rachamim. It is, there are different versions for different occasions. This is one for this occasion. El Moleh Rachamim, Shochen Mamromim Hamsem Menucha, Nichon al Kanfei Hashchina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utcharim, Tizoher Harakia, Majirim, Et Nishmat Iona, Shelacha La'alama, Bavur Shenadvu Tzedaka, Bayat Hakskanat Nishmata, Began Edan Tehem Menuchata, Lachen Ba'al Harachamim Yas Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'neomar Amen. I would like to invite in the next section anybody who would like to make remarks or has a memory that they would like to speak of. I would like to invite them to do that. So I'll start. Iona was my mother's cousin, except not really. Iona was more like my mother's sister. Back in the day, people lived together, a multi-generational families. So Iona and her mother Esther lived with my grandmother and grandfather Max and Rose, and their two children, Robert and Irma. They all lived in the same household. Who was mom, who was aunt, who was grandma, who knew, and who cared? They all had these interchangeable relationships. And I think that it shaped the people they became later in life. This sense of mishpacha, of family, that was bigger than who gave birth to who. When I was young, before my brother was born, I lived, and after, I lived in a place in Skokie, in an apartment at the end of a street. And on that same street was Esther and her husband Sanford and Iona, living in the 3 doors down in a bank of townhouses. And actually in the bank of townhouses next door was Sanford's daughter, Roberta, and her family. We all lived next to each other. And I learned some interesting things about that. We didn't live in the same apartment, but there wasn't a kitchen on that block that I couldn't just walk into and make myself at home in. I'd come home from school, I'd walk through a door, and nobody would say, "What are you doing here?" or "Does your mother know you're here?" Somebody would say, "Are you hungry? Do you want something to eat?" And I remember very distinctly, when my brother was born, we had a dog. And in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 children, small children, and an infant and a dog, it was too much. And so we gave the dog to another family. And I was heartbroken. But Esther and Sanford had a dog. Patches, I believe his name was. I mean, this was 50 plus years ago, so I'm hoping that that's right. And I used to love this dog. And I used to go when I got off the bus from school, and I would go over and I'd let myself in the kitchen and play with the dog. And one day, Iona came downstairs. She had been upstairs. I don't know what she was doing or why. She came downstairs and she said to me, "Oh, hi, Lori. What you up to?" I said, "I came to play with the dog. Is that okay?" And she said to me, "You don't have to ask if that's okay. You don't have to ask ever. You come in and you do what you want. Are you hungry?" Their house was my house. They were family. What they had belonged to me. That's the thing I remember most, and that is the thing that shaped who I am. I basically learned that the back door is always open. The kitchen is always open and available. I've lived in my current house in Wilmette for 20 years. I don't even know where the key to the back door is. I never lock my back door. Any member of my family, any of my kids' friends, any of my friends, any of my students can walk right in that back door if they need me. My door is truly always open. So that is the memory I have of Iona. I have lots of other memories, but that is the specific one that comes to me today as important. My door is always open. Your family. My house is your house. What do you mean? Can you be here? Of course you can be here. Why would you think otherwise? There's a line from a poem which became a song that says basically, it may well be that we will never meet again, at least not in this lifetime. But let me say, before we depart, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. So much of who I am is made from those memories. Everybody here has a memory. It's what we mean when we say, may her memory be for a blessing. Specific memories, the things that help make us who we are part and parcel of what we've been taught by the people we love. Iona was fortunate, she was a teacher. I can't imagine how fortunate her students were. Imagine what she's taught them. Imagine what a legacy she leaves from teaching, from sharing her point of view, her life with those students. I pulled this from a Jewish a Jewish booklet of memories. And it says, and this is a quote, I make ramen the way a friend taught me in the 11th grade. Every fall I listen to a playlist made for me by a boy who I drove across a border to see. I eat sushi because a girl who won't talk to me anymore made me try it. And Indian food because my best friend's parents ordered for me before I knew what I'd like. There are movies I loved because someone I loved them first. I am a mosaic of everyone I've ever loved, even for a heartbeat. I am a mosaic of everyone I've ever loved. So much of me is made of what I learned from you. I'd like to turn the mic over to anybody else who has comments.
I've known Iona for 77 of her 77 years. As my niece said, we grew up in the same house together. 6 or 7. Oh, by the way, we forgot the goose in the bathtub. Don't even ask about that. The goose swimming in the bathtub. 1 bathroom for all of those people. And as it turned out, when she moved from 16th Street, she moved to Austin, to Washington Boulevard. We moved to Washington Boulevard. We wound up living in the same building for years. We both graduated from the same grammar school, same class. We both graduated from the same high school, same class. Then we went on. She went to college. I went to a different college. As it turned out, both of us became teachers. Between Iona and me, we taught approximately 75 years. I didn't realize it until I saw the old brochure. 3/4 of a century, both of us were teachers together. Not in the same school. She was grammar school, I was high school. Uncle Dan passed away at the Battle of the Bulge. I don't know, it was late 44, early 45. So, Iona was without a father. But she wasn't alone. All the monarchs were around. And the Bresslers. She loved the Bresslers. She loved the monarchs. They were all there for all of those years, and they're still here. I can see some of the Bresslers. Unfortunately, I can't recognize the faces with all the masks on. But I've known some of you from 50, 60 years ago. And she loved you people, and she loved the monarchs, and we were always there. And when she got married, then she had the Harrises too. Unfortunately, by the way, we were like brothers and sisters. She was closer to me than my own sister, and that is the truth. Unfortunately, in the later years, as we get older, she had a number of illnesses, and the one thing she feared the most, dementia, which is what her mother had. And she was talking about, I don't want to live, I don't want to live. But nature intervenes. And at this point, she has no pain, she's at peace. She can now rest in peace, along with the Monarchs, and the Bresslers, and the Harrises, and the Goldmans, and all of us who loved her for all of those years that we were together. Oops.
I got it. Yes, I got it. Anyone else would like to say something?
Hi, my name is Sue, and I worked with Iona at Pressing. She was at Pressing Elementary when I came there, and I did not know her whatsoever. And I apologize up front, I wasn't ready for this. But Iona became a mentor. She became a friend. She was a teacher of teachers. She was a sister that I didn't have. I don't have a sister. And our friend Judy and Karen is here, who also taught with her. We were a different little group. Teachers have a different little bond, but some of us stayed together forever and ever. And just a funny memory, and most of you probably know, Iona loved to talk on the phone. And Iona loved to talk on the phone at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m. She retired from Pressing way before Judy and I did, but at 10 o'clock at night that phone would ring and we would take that phone call and she would talk and she would just, it was everything. It was good stuff. Sometimes it was bad stuff. Sometimes it would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but you'd listen and you'd have those wonderful conversations. But I guess the best memory I have, not the best, but of phone conversations is I actually fell asleep on the phone on her once. And at 2 a.m., I could hear in the phone, Sue, Sue, Sue. I had to go to work the next morning, and I just fell asleep. I kept saying, Iona, I have to go, I have to go. That's just one special memory because it was who we were, and we will miss those phone conversations with Iona. But I will tell you that she also, Judy has one and I have one. We were a threesome. We are bonded in our hearts with Iona. These were gifts from Iona, our hearts, and we will always, always, always have that bond. We are more than teachers and colleagues. We were sisters, and we are bonded with our hearts. And I thank you for letting me just share some funny little thing and just my love for Iona. I will miss her terribly. I am glad she is at peace. Martin, I don't know what else to say to you, but I told Martin I love you for taking care of her so deeply because I know, as someone else said, she was so frightened at the end. And thank you so much for taking care of our dear friend and our dear colleague and our dear sister. Iona, I will miss you.
Does anybody else have something that they would like to share?
My name is Karen. I taught with Iona at Ella Flagg Young School. And I got there in 1973, and that's when I met her. And just like Sue said, she just became family. She was like my sister, my friend. I was young. This is like second year teaching, so she was like my mother and help me out and tell me what to do and where to go and how things are, and she just loved those children so deeply, and she was always looking out for other people. She just always she was just always by your side and always just ready to help. the children just loved her. She just took every one of them into her heart and cared about every one of those children and her husband Martin. And that's really all I can say. Just gonna miss her, and it's hard to believe she's gone, but she's in a better place, and that's all. Thank you.
Speak now or forever hold. Please. So, before we actually say the Kaddish, the blessing for someone who's passed, I'd like first to bless the people who are here. Marty and Robert and all of you who were family and friends and who loved Iona. I think it's important that we remember that we are the legacy, and we need comfort in these times. Avotenu mikor habracha ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Nisheberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. I'd like, if you like, to take a moment of silence. There are some psalms, especially the 23rd Psalm in your program. Can we please take a second, take a breath, and let's read it together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Please rise for the mourner's Kaddish. And I'm going to do it from here because it's easier to read. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei D'Kudsha b'richu. Le'ela le'la min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We will take this time to lower the casket.
Ladies and gentlemen, the casket's going to be lowered, and then they'll put the cover on. You'll have an opportunity to put some earth from Israel or earth from the cemetery into the grave. My mother was also a Chicago public school teacher, having taught at Patrick Henry. There was a mistake made in the notice with today's date. I've got some new programs that'll be out. We'll pass those back. My mother would never forgive me, especially for a fellow school teacher. Also, I want to mention that I have an 89-year-old receptionist at our Skokie office named Mickey Reeder. Her maiden name was Paul, and she said that she saw it in the paper today, and her sister Ann Paul was best friends with the mother, your mother-in-law, and that she considered her a cousin. I don't know if you remember her or not, but in any ways, she touched a lot of people.
So, what I would love to, sorry, I'm so not used to this. I'm so used to being the loudest person in the room without. If anybody would like to come up and place a little earth once the cover is on the casket, that would be wonderful. And then I will give a final blessing, and you are welcome to stay as long as you like or leave. I understand it's cold, but they'll let us know when they're done.
Ladies and gentlemen, after they put the cover on, you'll have an opportunity to put some earth into the grave. We are going to ask you to put gloves on if you're not already wearing gloves. My wife Sherry will be passing out gloves for you.
I came to someone else's funeral, and I said, I really appreciate this person. I love her. You know, she wasn't in there. Touch it. It was 11 years. It was 11 years. give us a moment. Surprised me. I'm going to introduce you once between the hour. You started all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Sometimes it's, for me, it's easier to start with a little, get a little mellow. It helps keep me focused. It's the one thing I can do.
No, it's fine. It was just a couple minutes before the hour. My grandmother was the first female to live in the country. And it was the same as never make anyone on time for the funeral day.
But I pretty much knew.
Yeah, but we actually had as many as 13 people. Well, 13 Zoomers, yeah.
Welcome to wait or how you
Yeah, they,
I know. Yeah. My breath is a lot warmer than the air. I have plenty.
It's just another thing on the list.
So we still have. Marty, there's 8 people if you just want to thank them for coming.
Thank everyone for coming. And anyone who wants to invite me over, give me your address. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.